Adventure Time might seem like just another colorful cartoon on the surface, but beneath its whimsical exterior lies some seriously disturbing content that would make even adults uncomfortable. What we're about to explore goes way beyond simple kids show territory into genuinely unsettling psychological horror that somehow made it past Cartoon Network censors. These aren't just random creepy moments either. They're carefully crafted Easter eggs that reveal the show's darker underbelly, and trust me, once you see them, you can't unsee them. Let's start with something that'll mess with your head right from the get-go. Remember that innocent little snail that appears in practically every episode? Yeah, that cute background character that most viewers probably never even noticed? Well, that snail is actually one of the most sinister elements in the entire show, and here's why that should terrify you. Back in Season 2's Mortal Folly, we see this snail get possessed by the Lich. Adventure Time's embodiment of pure evil and death. The Lich uses the snail to break free from his prison. But here's where it gets really messed up. Even after the Lich is supposedly defeated, the snail continues appearing in every single episode with those same lifeless glowing green eyes. The writers are literally telling us that evil is always present, always watching, lurking in the background of every adventure Finn and Jake go on. But it gets worse. This isn't just some throwaway visual gag. The snail represents something much more disturbing about the nature of evil in Adventure Time's universe. It's persistent, it's patient, and it's everywhere. Think about how unsettling that concept is when you really break it down. Every time Finn and Jake are having fun, every time they think they're safe, that possessed snail is there, silently observing, waiting for the right moment to strike again. Now, let's talk about something that genuinely made my skin crawl when I first noticed it. In the episode of The Creeps, there's this mansion party that starts off seeming like a fun mystery episode, but pay close attention to the background details and you'll spot some seriously disturbing imagery that has no business being in a kids show. The paintings on the walls aren't just random spooky decorations. If you look carefully, you'll see they depict scenes of violence and torture that are way too graphic for the show's target audience. There's one painting in particular that shows what appears to be a figure being dismembered, and another that looks like it's depicting some kind of ritualistic sacrifice. These aren't accidents or coincidences, they're deliberate choices by the animation team to create an atmosphere of genuine dread. But here's what makes it even more disturbing. The characters in the episode never acknowledge these paintings directly, which means they exist purely for the audience to discover. It's like the show is testing how much horror it can slip past viewers without them consciously realizing what they're seeing. That's some seriously psychological manipulation right there. The mansion itself is designed to look like it's alive and watching the characters. The windows look like eyes. The doorways resemble mouths. And if you pay attention to how the rooms are laid out, the entire structure resembles a massive skull. The characters are literally walking around inside the head of some giant dead creature, and most viewers never even pick up on this because they're focused on the mystery plot. Speaking of disturbing architecture, let's dive into one of the most unsettling locations in the entire series. The Dungeon Train. On the surface, it seems like a fun video game parody where Finn and Jake get trapped on an endless train fighting monsters and leveling up. But when you really analyze what's happening, it becomes a horrifying allegory for addiction and the loss of free will. The train itself is designed to be impossible to escape from, not because of physical barriers, but because it's psychologically addictive. Finn and Jake keep fighting monsters because they want to level up and get stronger, but there's no end goal, no final destination. It's an endless cycle that consumes their entire existence, and they're completely aware of this, but can't stop themselves. What makes this even more disturbing is how the show presents this addiction. Finn and Jake start enjoying the mindless violence and the simple reward system of gaining levels. They become different people, more aggressive and single-minded. Jake even starts talking about how great it is that they don't have to think about complex problems anymore, they just fight and get rewarded. The really messed up part is how this mirrors real-world addiction patterns. The train provides instant gratification, removes the need for complex decision-making, and creates a false sense of progress and achievement. When they finally do escape, they're genuinely disappointed to return to their normal lives where problems are complicated and rewards aren't guaranteed. This is already one of the most emotionally devastating episodes in the series, dealing with the Ice King's tragic backstory and his relationship with Marceline. But there's a detail in the background that makes it even more heartbreaking and disturbing. When we see flashbacks of Simon before he became the Ice King, There are newspaper clippings and photos scattered around his apartment. Most viewers focus on the main story being told through dialogue and the obvious visual elements, but if you pause and really examine these background details, you'll find something genuinely horrifying. This isn't referring to Betty's time travel situation that we learn about later in the series. This is suggesting that Simon's original descent into madness might have been triggered by something even more traumatic than we realized. The implication is that he might have lost someone important to him even before he found the crown. There's also a photo that shows Simon with a woman who clearly isn't Betty, and she's been scratched out of the picture with what looks like claw marks. The scratches are too deliberate and violent to be accidental damage. Someone, presumably Simon in his deteriorating mental state, violently defaced this photo, trying to erase this person from his memory. This suggests that Simon's story is even more tragic than the show explicitly tells us. He didn't just lose his mind because of the crown's magic, he was already psychologically damaged from previous trauma, and the crown simply amplified and twisted that existing pain into something monstrous. The most disturbing part about this Easter egg is how it recontextualizes everything we know about the Ice King's obsession with princesses. It's not just random creepy behavior caused by magical corruption. It's a broken man trying to recreate relationships he's lost over and over again in increasingly desperate and inappropriate ways. Now, here's something that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about Finn's character. In several episodes throughout the series, there are brief moments where Finn's shadow behaves independently from his body. This isn't some animation error or stylistic choice, it's a deliberate Easter egg that suggests something deeply unsettling about Finn's true nature. The first time this happens is so subtle that most viewers miss it completely. In The Vault, when Finn is exploring his past lives, there's a moment where his shadow reaches for something while Finn's actual hand is pointing in a completely different direction. The shadow seems to have its own agenda, its own desires that don't align with Finn's conscious actions. This becomes even more disturbing when you consider what shadows typically represent in literature and psychology. They're the hidden aspects of personality, the repressed desires and impulses that we don't want to acknowledge. The fact that Finn's shadow is acting independently suggests that there are parts of his personality that are beyond his conscious control. In later episodes, this shadow behavior becomes more pronounced. During moments of high stress or moral conflict, Finn's shadow can be seen making gestures that contradict his spoken words or conscious actions. It's like there's another version of Finn trapped inside his shadow, trying to communicate or influence his behavior. The really messed up implication here is that Finn, who's supposed to be the pure-hearted hero of the series, might have a much darker side than anyone realizes. The show is suggesting that even the most heroic characters have hidden depths of potential evil or selfishness that they're constantly fighting against. But perhaps the most psychologically disturbing Easter egg in the entire series is hidden in plain sight in the opening credits. You know that catchy theme song that plays at the beginning of every episode? Well, if you play it backwards, you can make out what sounds like distorted voices speaking in an unknown language. Now, I know what you're thinking, this is probably just pareidolia, the tendency to perceive meaningful patterns in random sounds. But here's the thing, multiple fans have analyzed this backwards audio using professional software, and they've found consistent phonetic patterns that suggest it's not just random noise. Some of the reverse phrases seem to correspond with events that happen later in the series, almost like the opening credits contain prophetic warnings about future episodes. What makes this even more unsettling is the timing. These backwards messages seem to sync up with specific visual elements in the opening credits. When the audio says what sounds like the end times are coming, the visuals show Finn and Jake in what appears to be a post-apocalyptic landscape, which is exactly what we see in later episodes dealing with the Great Mushroom War. The psychological impact of this Easter egg is profound. It suggests that the entire series is building towards some kind of predetermined catastrophe, and that information about this fate has been hidden in the opening credits from the very beginning. Every time viewers watch the intro, they're being subliminally exposed to warnings about tragic events they haven't even seen yet. This creates a sense of inevitability and doom that permeates the entire viewing experience, even if most people aren't consciously aware of it. It's like the show's telling us that no matter how fun and adventurous Finn and Jake's journey appears to be, it's all heading towards something dark and terrible. The fact that this information is hidden in reversed audio makes it even more disturbing. It's as if the show's creators wanted to plant these ominous seeds in viewers' subconscious minds without them realizing it. That's some seriously advanced psychological manipulation disguised as an innocent children's cartoon. These Easter eggs reveal that Adventure Time isn't just a whimsical fantasy adventure. It's a carefully constructed psychological experience designed to explore themes of trauma, addiction, hidden evil, and inevitable doom. The show uses its colorful, child-friendly exterior to smuggle genuinely disturbing content into viewers' minds, creating a viewing experience that's far more complex and unsettling than it initially appears. What makes these Easter eggs so effective is how they operate on multiple levels. Surface-level viewers can enjoy the show as a fun cartoon adventure, while more observant fans discover increasingly dark layers of meaning hidden beneath the cheerful exterior. It's like the show is rewarding careful attention with access to its true, much more disturbing nature. The really unsettling part is how these hidden elements change your perception of everything else in the show. Once you start noticing the possessed snail watching from the background, or Finn's shadow acting independently, or those backwards messages in the theme song, you can't go back to seeing Adventure Time as just an innocent kid's cartoon. So Adventure Time has given us some truly unsettling moments over the years, from the Lich's bone-chilling whispers to Magic Man's reality-bending chaos. These creepy Easter eggs remind us that even in the colorful land of Ooo, darkness lurks beneath the surface, waiting to catch us off guard. Whether it's hidden symbolism, disturbing implications, or just plain nightmare fuel, these moments prove that Adventure Time was never just a kids show. What did you think was the creepiest moment we covered today? And did we miss any spine-tingling details that still haunt your dreams?